The recent balance patch has done a number on drone pilots. I've had a lot of messages on Discord, on YouTube. I've had people tagging me on various different Discord servers all over the place, talking about the changes to drones and how drone pilots are dead and the game is over, and just, game over, man, game over for drone pilots. Apparently, that's what they're screaming from the top of their lungs. A lot of people, I've had some really interesting conversations, a lot more muted and subdued, people who are actually sort of saying, look, can you explain what's going on here and why this is a good thing or a bad thing? What do you think about this? And so for the people who have actually reached out to me, big shout out to Vassetti, for example. A really interesting conversation with him last night about all of this, with Rahman and some other guys as well. I want to sit down with you all today and talk about these drone changes and what it actually means as a drone pilot. Remember, my primary skills in EVE Online outside of exploration are Guristas skills. I'm skilled into small, medium, and large drones and small, medium, and large missiles. Those are my weapon types. And drone changes are naturally something that affect me a lot. My favorite ships are things like the Worm, the Healer, the Astero, the Stratios, the Arbitrator. All drone ships. My main battleship is a Rattlesnake. So we're going to break this down. We're going to talk about why the sky isn't falling, and if it is, what we can actually do about it. Right, there's going to be a lot to cover in here, so we're pretty much going to jump in after the usual messages. Ahoy there, folks. I'm Captain Benzie, and I do a load of stuff on YouTube talking about EVE Echoes. If you're watching this, you've probably heard of me already. I don't know why I'm introducing myself here, but if you do want to help me keep doing what I do, please take the brief second just to scroll down, tap the like button. It is a massive help to me. Subscribe if you aren't already, and of course, if you do want to support content like this, I've got a Patreon page and a Redbubble merchandise store that you can pledge to support at, and a PayPal link in the description below as well if you just want to toss me enough for a cup of coffee or something as a little tip. Thank you ever so much to everyone who can support. If you can't, the thought counts. Anyway, folks, let's jump right into talking about the drones. This video is going to be fairly sort of just me talking. I should probably turn off chat so it's not distracting, so let's take those all off there. Now, what were the big changes to drones? Well, the main one is that every single drone type in the game, small, medium, and large, have had their main flight speed neutered, like massively dropped. Instead, they have got some new abilities on their tracking speed and their orbits. Now, the devs pitched this as a whole thing of, essentially, drones have low DPS anyway, and they're also really not applying it very well due to how this works. Even with the manual orbit settings, they're just not doing very well, so we are going to buff their tracking, basically, so they actually apply their damage to their targets that little bit better. The flip side of this is that they are now a lot slower, and I've seen a lot of the comments that I've had from people are that our drones are just ridiculously slow now, like cruisers are going faster than them, some cruisers are going faster. Yeah, they are. Let's have a look at a flight velocity there of a Federation Navy Hobgoblin here on a Worm, and if we open up the Worm's abilities, oh yeah, the Worm does not get drone speed buffs. Now, I would say that the whole, oh, these are slower than cruisers now, you still have 2,218 meters per second as standard here. That's not exactly slow. I mean, the Worm itself, if I close this down, my basic flight velocity is 495.6, and yeah, okay, I do, that's without the micro warp drive active, but they're not slow by any stretch of the imagination. When people say they are too slow, what they are referencing is that they can't chase down interceptors now. And my first point here is that, actually, I think that's a good thing. I genuinely think that not being able to chase down interceptors is a good thing, and that's going to be a pretty controversial point, right? Because interceptors are quite a popular choice. People want to PvP versus interceptors, and yeah, I don't know. I don't think that drones being able to hit interceptors is a thing that should happen. I think interceptors, I've said from the start, interceptors should be fast, they should be hard to hit, incredibly hard to hit in fact. They should do pretty much no damage though, that's their big thing, that they are tackle frigates, they are all about being hard to hit. So the fact that your drones can't hit them, yeah, I'm kind of down with that. I don't even fly interceptors anymore, but I'm down with that. And if you look at the flight velocity here of a Republic Fleet Warrior, you're still seeing 2,994 meters per second. That is still not a slow moving drone. That is still a fast moving drone, and that's not even on a ship that actually has a flight velocity boost. Now, I don't actually have any Dragoon hulls handy. I got rid of a lot of my Dragoons a long time ago. I haven't purchased any since, but the fact that those get flight velocity, I'm sorry, when people say, oh, they're slower than some cruisers, yeah, they're slower than people who are geared out for a micro warp drive kiting cruiser. That's kind of the point. And the fact that drones were so ridiculously fast beforehand, I do honestly think they needed that toned down. Now, yes, a small drone is still going to struggle to hit an interceptor. That's fine. Interceptors are supposed to be hard to hit. What about a succubus using an afterburner, like a medium afterburner? Again, that's a very specific fit that goes at some rather extreme speeds. It should be hard to hit. And the simple secondary fact of this is that people saying, well, if my drones can't hit a target, then you've basically reduced the point of having drones in PvP, which, on one hand, if you were to agree with that, which I don't, you can kind of also say that, well, yeah, they did say they wanted to reduce drone usage in PvP because that's what causes black screen issues in fleets. The secondary thing to think of is only when you are hunting and chasing. If you're in a brawling fit, and your ship can hold range, then sure as hell your drones can hold range as well. And if they can hold range, that new orbital speed and the new tracking buffs mean that they are actually going to deal their proper damage to the target. That is a good thing. Secondarily, you're assuming that your opponent is constantly trying to run away from you and you're having to chase them down. If you're going up against something like, for example, a succubus using a medium afterburner, it's going to be getting pretty close to you, right? And the drones can chase after that surprisingly well because of angular velocity and how they are moving not in a straight line following the entire curvature of the orbit, but they are essentially tangential in on that orbit. I don't want to get into the geometry of this, but basically imagine something's orbiting around a central point. Anything that comes out of that central point has a shorter distance to follow. It's not like it flies in a straight line out until it touches the orbit and then tries to chase it the whole way around. You do ultimately close the gap at a faster speed. If they're orbiting at, say, 4,000 meters per second, then a drone like this will actually still connect with that eventually. And once it does connect, it is going to actually do its damage. And if you're worried about their orbit, well, you can do things like slingshotting, you can try and web them, slow them down in different ways. Yeah, the succubus is supposed to be hard to hit, and I don't think drones are honestly going too slow at this point. What this change has done is it means that drones are slower moving to get to their target, but once they are there, they apply their damage better. It means that drones are a little bit easier to lock off and actually destroy, which is a double benefit on two parts. One, it helps the drone market by actually having destruction of drones. People have to buy them more. That is supposed to be a thing about drones. I know no other weapon system has it, but that's what the price you pay for the fact that your drone ship can ultimately downscale to different weapons. If I'm in a Dominix, I can swap between large, medium, and small drones. If I'm in a Tempest, I can't swap between large, medium, and small cannons. Like, that is a big advantage of drones. Drones, you can also choose whether or not you are going electromagnetic, whether you're going explosive. Again, if I'm using large railguns, I can't choose to do explosive damage. If I'm using lasers, I can't choose to do explosive damage. I'm stuck with electromagnetic and thermal. Drones have some significant advantages and some significant disadvantages. Yes, the fact that they are, you can destroy them in PvP, that is a disadvantage. It means you have to replace them. The fact that there is an additional drone skill, rather than just having small drone operation and small drone upgrade, you also have the drone skill. Yeah, they have a bigger skill point investment. That is a disadvantage. They also have overall lower DPS, but that's something I'm hoping NetEase are addressing, especially with the two new types of drones, the assault drones and the offensive drones, which are really confusingly named. As far as I'm aware, they have those names backwards, but we'll talk about those later. Ultimately, the fact that your drones are slower moving only really makes a difference if you're trying to chase prey down. If you are using, say, an Algos or a Worm or a Dragoon as a defensive destroyer, that you're sitting it next to your battleships so that if anything comes close, ultimately you can fire back, that is still absolutely a valid tactic, and your drones will do really well at that, because as your opponent is closing the distance to you, your drones are moving towards them. The flight velocity doesn't really matter. The additional tracking, therefore, is just pure straight-up benefit. And ultimately, I think that's a key point here. That destroyers are what I'm hearing most people complaining about. My Dragoon and my Algos just aren't doing what they used to. Oh, my Algos command goes faster than my drones now. Yeah, because an Algos command is a very fast-moving ship. It's supposed to be able to be fitted with micro-jump drives. They are very fast, nimble ships. And yeah, they do outpace their drones. That's not necessarily a problem, you know? Yeah, your ship can relocate faster, and then your drones can do stuff when in range. Now, at this point, I do want to take a flip to the other side of the argument, because I can already hear people angrily typing away and telling me I am wrong. I don't think we actually have enough data yet. a lot of the stuff I'm hearing is people saying theoretically this and theoretically that, and I'm sitting here saying theoretically this and theoretically that. We're going to have to wait and see how this actually plays out. And yes, it does mean that medium and large drones are now even slower, and thus are going to have much more difficulty catching small ships. That is a buff to small ships. That is a good thing. I would like them now to continue nerfing Interceptor's DPS, and then maybe increase the DPS of things like assault frigates. Give us those tier 10 assault frigates. Where's my Rifter assault? Where's my Tristan assault? Give me a Kestrel assault and a Tormentor assault, and I will be one happy Benzie. People saying that my destroyers can't chase and hunt things down now. Yeah, they still very much can. The drones are still actually going to be pretty good against other destroyers and cruisers and things like that. Just very specific fast-moving frigates they're going to have a bit of a more struggle with, and I honestly think that's okay. I did think that one of the things I would like to see done is possibly the Dragoon should get a bigger boost to its drone flight velocity, and perhaps the Algos should get a boost to its drone flight velocity. I do think that, honestly, the fact that a standard drone ship, or even just standard cruisers, like the fact that a cruiser can obviously fit small or medium drones, I do think that nerfing the drones on cruisers and above is probably a good thing, you know, where they're not drone ships. When it's something like a Stabber with, you know, a warrior in the bay, or heck, someone flying a Typhoon and they happen to have put a couple of, like, warriors or berserkers or Valkyries or something into those slots. Those drones shouldn't be doing nearly as much as they have been. And people sit there and go, oh yeah, but, you know, they're like almost pitiful DPS. Yeah, but not when you're a frigate. When you're a frigate, that stuff hurts, and I do think that by nerfing those drones, you are actually kind of helping the frigate pilots and the smaller pilots out. The drones actually are going to do more damage now if the frigate pilots aren't careful, but they're going to be easier to handle. Prepare to lose your drones when a frigate pilot locks you down and does something to you nowadays. Prepare to lose the drones, and yeah, that's going to be a thing. That is going to be a thing, and I think that is a good thing. I think dedicated drone ships are still going to be absolutely fine. I just think that maybe once we've got more data, maybe the Dragoon and the Algos need to get a slight bonus towards drone speed just to help things out there, if that's a thing. Maybe the Worm should get it as well, and the Tristan. I don't know. That's up to you. I think we need more data on this, and I think people crying that the sky is falling, just, we don't have the data yet. Now, the second thing that people are, of course, losing their minds about as drone pilots is the fact that in the top slots now, we have the anti-drone pulse bombs, things that can be fit to battleships purely to deal with drones. And looking at these, it's worth pointing out that 1, they are short range, 9 kilometers. There's no fall off on that, it's just yes or no. They hit everything in the range, friendly or non-friendly drones. So if you're in a fleet fight, you need to be careful of logistics drones, and it will hit up to 10 of these. If a bomb goes off, it hits 10 drones in that area for so much damage. And if you have a look at the amount of damage it does, 39.18. Yeah, okay, if you've got something that has 8 high slots, that's 4 times 8, which is 320 DPS instantly on an activation time of 10 seconds. So basically 320 DPS, 320 damage or whatever every, like, 10 seconds. It's really not that much, and careful drone usage can actually deal with that. But also the simple point is that drones, they're trying to disincentivize drones in big fleet battles. If you want to use drones in small fleets, you're still going to be able to, because very few pilots are going to give up a battleship high slot to use these in standard roams. They're going to be using them for defensive engagements and things like that. And I said before, I've done entire videos talking about the ADPBs. I think they're a brilliant fix to the problem that is drones. Yeah, I'm all for it. I'm genuinely all for it. I think these are really good modules. I don't think that they're just going to suddenly wipe out every single drone that comes in range. If you think that every battleship in the game is suddenly going to be using one of these, then you're just absolutely loopy. People are going to start fitting these, drones are going to get punished, and then people are going to stop using drones in big fleet fights, except those people who actually know how to work their drones, at which point, if you're flying a Dominix in a big fleet fight, then you're just going to identify which ship has the anti-drone pulse bombs. You're going to blow that ship up first, then use the drones anyway. It disincentivizes drones, which is the point of this, but also actually increases the tacticality of the game as well, which I really like. That is a good thing. Stop telling me it's not. It is a good thing, just you need to be a better pilot than perhaps you think you are otherwise. Anyway, let's then have a look at the new drones as well, because in addition to, say, the Imperial Navy Acolyte, you now have these Assault Acolytes and Defense Acolytes. And if we have a look at these side by side, you'll see that these guys have an optimal range of 3 kilometers, accuracy fall-off of 2.5, and the Offense Acolyte, when it lets me long press, has the shorter range. This is confusing to me because assault vessels tend to be all about getting up into your opponent's grill and doing damage. I kind of feel like it should have been called Assault and Sniper or something like that, and the other way around, so the close range ones are assault drones, and I don't know. Ultimately, when we look at these as their abilities, you kind of have a similar situation to before. So the Imperial Navy Acolyte, 13.78 DPS, the Assault is sitting on 14.54, and the Offense is sitting on 16.73. So these Offense ones are considerably higher, notably higher DPS. They're also a lot shorter range, and look at the flight velocity there, 1248 compared to an Imperial Navy Acolyte of 2080. So those assault ones, on the other hand, those have an even higher flight velocity, but they kind of keep their range. So it's kind of, if you're brawling and your drones don't need to go a long way, then you have the offensive drones that are going to brawl with you. If you are sitting with a sniper drone ship, then you use the assault variants that are faster flight velocity, orbit at further range, and have slightly lower damage. Basically, we now have snub-nosed and rifled railguns versions of drones, or autocannons to strike cannons, that kind of thing there. And I'm all for these, and people are sitting there saying, oh yeah, but they've locked those behind faction war games, so they're going to be so hard to get. One, they're blueprints, which is really cool. It means that industrialists are going to be benefiting from this. Two, yeah, it gives faction wargamers something to actually save for and spend now, which is going to be cool, and it's something that is going to keep going. Like, there are only so many Mordu's Legion or Sisters of Eve debris that you can actually sell, because not everyone wants those ships. They're not in as high demand as they used to be. Those drones are going to forever be in high demand because people are going to be destroying them and wanting new ones, and drones are not covered by insurance. Oh, would you look at that? Would you look at that? We've got a fix for industry, giving a little bit more consumption going on there. Something for folks to focus on. Like, if you're an industrialist, skill into some frigate skills, do some faction war games in your off time, get those blueprints, build some drones, make a bucket ton of ISK. I'm excited. I'm a drone main, and I'm excited to try these out. I really want to try the offensive hobgoblins, for example, here on the Worm, see how those get on for a brawling, or going at longer range and using the assault hobgoblins. I think that could be really fun. Some interesting stuff going on there. I'm excited. I'm really excited, and I know some people are crying that the sky is falling on this. I genuinely don't agree that this is necessarily a bad thing. I think there may be some issues that need fine-tuning. As an example, I've given the fact that the Dragoon and the Algos as destroyers maybe need a slight bonus to the flight speed. I don't know. Maybe when it comes to, like, the difference between Amarr and Gallente drone ships now, there is a reason for that. You know, the Gallente ones are more survivable, the Amarr ones are a little bit faster. I think drones were going too fast. I've said this in the past. I think drones going as fast as an interceptor is a problem. Oh, but they're small. Yeah, small doesn't necessarily mean fast, though. Like, genuinely, a turtle is smaller than a cheetah. Which one's faster? Like, that logical thing of, oh, it's small, therefore it should be fast, doesn't work. And it also doesn't work in space, because a thing that needs to move fast in space should have pretty big engines, right? Frigates, yeah, I get why they're small and fast and they're nimble, and that is part of balancing, but there is no logical reason to suggest that drones have to be faster than frigates, and I think that is a key part of balance, to accept that they don't need to be faster, and making them faster probably caused some issues in the past that they are now looking to fix. I could be wrong about a lot of this. NetEase might come out with a reverse patch in a few days or a few weeks. I hope they give it a couple of weeks to get some data and properly look into this. I'm flying around in drone ships now and having fun with some PvE. I'm finding they're better in PvE now. But for PvP, I'm talking with a lot of drone pilots. I'm trying not to take the theoretically too seriously when people cry that the sky is falling, that, oh no, it can't do this theoretically. I want to see you actually try that. I want to see you stop talking theoretically, go out there and actually try and hunt something in a Dragoon and see how you do with it. And I really want to see the new drones in action as well. Anyway, folks, let me know your thoughts and opinions on this matter in the comments section down below. I know this is a little bit delayed. I did film this on Thursday, but obviously I've had other content coming out that just was a little bit more pressing. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this issue. Otherwise, happy sailing, and see you in New Eden.